The Recon class is a very underrated and in some cases a very underplayed class. Everyone wants to be the sniper, but not as many people want to be the more important spotter class. The spotter is an officer that can report to command and has the ability to go behind enemy lines and do a lot of damage to the other team's war effort. A good spotter can make or break games, and that's what this guide is for. How to play spotter right. Now we're going to talk about several things of note to help yourself become a big thorn in the enemy's side. Your loadout and tools at your disposal, establishing behind the lines, overall movement, basic tactics, targets of opportunity, and extra tips and tricks to remember in battle. First thing we need to go over is your loadout. Now, if you're just starting out as Recon and have never played it or touched it, or you just don't want to use the rifle class, you get a SMG of the nation you're playing, either a Thompson MP40 or PPSH, frag grenades, and an ammo box. Once you get to level 3 or 4 of the spotter, you'll unlock another loadout. And this loadout consists of rifles instead of SMGs. For the Americans, you get the M1 carbine, the Germans Kar 98, and the Soviets the SVT-40. Instead of frag grenades, you get smokes, and most importantly, you get a flare gun. This flare gun has one shot, and if you don't know, you obviously fire it up in the air, and it'll reveal locations of enemy tanks, vehicles, infantry in a circular area for 30 seconds, very similar to a recon plane. So it's very encouraged that you get this as soon as possible. Your first objective when you load into the game is to get established behind the enemy lines as soon as possible by any means necessary. As a spotter, you can put an outpost anywhere on the map in warfare mode, 4 squares deep on offensive as the attacking team, and 2 red squares on offensive mode as the defending team after the first 2 objectives are taken. When getting established, you avoid the front line and cap circles like the plague until you are fully established. The farther you go away from the front line cap circles when trying to get behind the enemy lines will give you a higher chance of getting established without encountering resistance or being spotted. Using trucks or jeeps will help you get established faster, so try to use these at the start of the game. Now, with the different modes in warfare and offensive, you have to have different approaches, and here are several examples with the different game modes. In this warfare mode example, the middle objective at the start of the game is at the very top of the map. So me and my sniper are going to snag the truck at the southern spawn and make our way behind the lines to the south. In offensive, as the attacking team, you're going to want to move away from the starting objective and move in behind where the next objective could be, whether that's the left side of the map, center, or right side of the map, and move accordingly. If you're playing offensive and you're on the defending team, you can't go behind the lines or in the red zone until the second objective is taken. So you can kind of set yourself in the middle between the objective they first take and then your second objective, at least for the short term. And you can at least do flank control until the second objective is taken or until you win the game, whatever comes first. Once established behind enemy lines, you can move as needed towards areas of importance such as cap circles, the enemy artillery, and so on. Now, I've already talked about the offensive game modes and what your overall movement actually should be by default with establishing behind the lines, so I won't dive back into that, but in Warfare, I can dive in it a little deeper. I'm going to go back to the Carrington example for this example. Now, canal crossing at the top part of the map in the middle section, and me and my sniper are in the southern spawn. We're going to take a truck, get established south of ruins. Now, if the enemy team takes canal crossing, we're going to search ruins for nodes, garrisons, etc., and then move behind canal crossing to start searching for garrisons, nodes, and etc. Now, if the friendly team, our team, in this example, takes canal crossing, we will then search the last objective, their HQ objective at 500 seconds start, and then come in behind ruins. This is because if we search ruins, if in the event of our allies taking the middle objective, and there's a garrison we don't find there, especially if we can't get established in time, they will spawn on it and our efforts will be wasted. But if we get behind them at 5 a second, where assuming the enemy commander is smart enough to put reserve garrisons, we can get behind it where there's no resistance and then come behind them where they may not expect us, at least giving us a chance to spot enemy targets that are important, such as nodes, garrisons, etc. In regards to outpost placement, It's advised that you put it far enough away from the enemy that they just can't randomly find it or hunt it down fast. So keep away from roadways, or at least keep it far enough roadways so that random trucks just don't randomly take out your outpost when you don't expect it to. And also far enough away from certain objectives or areas that the enemy is very commonly found in to keep your outpost alive. But keep it close enough so you can get back to those objectives fast enough. That one is a bit of a gray area, and it's left up to your interpretation of what you need to do. So play that how you wish. At the end of the day though, your top priority is keep your outpost alive, as that keeps you coming from behind their lines. And if you lose that, you gotta spend 5-10 minutes or however long you need to get behind the enemy lines. So do not lose under any circumstances. Stealth is your biggest ally and weapon you can use as a spotter, and using that to the best of your abilities will help you do a lot of damage to the enemy's war machine. And it's very important not to draw unnecessary attention to you. I know it sounds very Captain Obvious-ish, but it really pays off when you're able to sneak up to a garrison, especially when they just spawn, and then take it out from right underneath them. And even if you can't even get it, you can still locate it for the rest of your team, and then you know exactly where to look for it next. So even if you don't get it, and you at least find it, you can rain ungodly hell on it. Or, if you can't get to it, Command might be able to drop you a bombing raid on it and just eradicate it for you. So keep that in mind. Now when looking for garrisons, it's important to look for basically the ant trail, or the people coming off of it. You might be able to look and see a group of people, whether it's a couple guys, a whole squad, maybe even 2 or 3, and see where they're coming from and where they're heading to. Are they heading to the front line? Which direction are they coming from? And swoop in behind them, and you might find something. It may just be an outpost, it might be a garrison. You never know. So look for ant trails and see what you can do to come in behind them. Now you may be asking, well, can I use my weapon at all, or do I just need to not fire my gun and not kill anything? Well, good time to use your weapon is to derail supply trucks and any other truck you can, including half-tracks if you have the shots for them. If you can derail these vehicles from getting to the front line, you slow their war effort tremendously, especially supply trucks. Those are vital to get supplies to the front line, especially in offensive game modes, where you're attacking and they're trying to build up a point. If you can stop those supply shipments, even 1 or 2, you could potentially jeopardize the enemy's front line. And if you can slow a half-track down, although a lot harder, that also is another spawn that they can't get off because they won't be able to turn the motor off. So you have those targets. Also, if you know about the enemy commanders in the area, especially the German ones because they're the most obvious, and the Soviet ones for that matter, looking for their uniforms. Do they have epaulets? Do they have officer caps? Do they have a lieutenant's bar stripe on their helmet if you're the Americans? Targeting officers and anyone with watches to build outposts and garrisons. You want to shoot at these guys if possible, and if it won't jeopardize your position. Although commanders, if you're able to kill the enemy commander, that should be a top priority if you can kill them and not be spotted. But if you get spotted and you get killed, as long as you don't lose your outpost, it's all worth it in the end anyway. In terms of targets of opportunity, I've already listed most of them out, but I'm going to list them more in a most important to less important targets of opportunity. Your first target should be garrisons. These are the backbone of keeping your team in the fight. Even with 40-second spawn timers, they let anyone and everyone spawn in. And then if you are down in an outpost, no problem. Spawn in a garrison, get back up, problem solved. So these are your top targets to hunt for. Your next target after garrisons should be nodes. Nodes provide resources for the commander to keep calling in bombing runs, heavy tanks, reinforces, and everything in between. If you're able to take out even a handful of these nodes, you damage the commander's ability to help the team out. So these should be your second priority target. Your third target is supply trucks, and in 2 fashions. One, if they are stopped, you need to be able to search around, look for garrisons and nodes, as they're a decent telltale sign that there's something built near a supply truck. And secondly, when it's on the move. If you can shoot the driver out of the truck before it gets to the front line, you stop nodes from being built, garrisons from being built, fortifications from being built, and so on. So these are your third priority target in both searching and destroying whoever is nearby to make sure that truck is no longer usable. Your fourth priority target should be the artillery or the artillery crews. Now, this might vary on the priority scale depending on how good the artillery is, if they're even using it. So command might ask you to go back and say, hey, can you go deal with the artillery? So there you go. Now, it's lower on the other priority scales because 1, artillery isn't always getting used, 2, it's not always effective, and 3, there just always isn't a need to go kill it, and 4, especially if you're on offensive mode, you may not be able to kill the artillery in the moment. So it's low on the priority scales, but by taking it out, you might limit their fire support and help save a lot of lives on the front line. So this one varies, but I put it at number 4, but from highest to lowest. And if there was a 5th priority target, I would say commanders and officers. If you're able to kill the enemy commander, you shut down that person's ability to call in airstrikes, supply drops, and anything else. By killing this person, you slow them down and potentially the time where they may need supplies from the commander or reinforce. But if that person is dead, they can't call in anything. So commanders are number 5, and I guess honorable mention would be the officers. If you can kill any officer, which are kind of hard to do because it's kind of sometimes hard to tell them out in a crowd. If you can kill them before they can get an outpost or a garrison up, you might buy your team some time and help them take a point. So number 5, officers and commanders. Now, everything I've set up to this point is revolved around just you and you only. If you are a spotter, you have no competent sniper, you don't have a sniper, whatever. Now I'm going to go over some tips and tricks to remember when you're on the battlefield and maybe you do have a competent sniper, but even by yourself, some of these tips still apply. So let's get to them. Now, remember, you can put up garrisons, and now that the recent hotfix is in, you can now put up garrisons for your team to use. And this is important if your team's attack is stalling. You can maybe give them a flanking garrison and get ahead of the main army and clear the way for them, depending on how the cards fall. So keep that in mind as one of your tips to remember. Now, with Update 13 now active, there's some updates to destroying nodes, supplies, and garrisons. So, if you have a competent second, it takes 30 seconds to destroy one node, as you both can destroy it together now, compared to it being a regular 60 seconds and only one person being able to destroy a node without using satchels or anything else. The same as with garrisons. You can, 2 people, 3 people, whatever, can destroy one garrison in a way quicker time. And with the latest update, if you misclick or you have to get up to defend yourself, you can do that and not lose your progress, as long as you don't walk away from the node or start destroying another node. It keeps your progress, at least for the short term. So keep that in mind when destroying nodes and everything else. Now, when hunting for garrisons, nodes, and everything like that, and you have a competent sniper, it may be good to spread out instead of stick together. That way you can cover more ground faster. And if one person finds things, you both can converge on that location. So keep that in mind when in the field. Make the decisions and you'll be successful. Also, at the end of the day, you are a recon squad. It's always good to report back what you kill to command, whether that's nodes, garrisons, outposts, and also to call out, oh hey, I see a tank, might as well report it, and what kind it is. So it's good to know different tanks of different countries, what they are, and where they're at. Use the ping system to let command know where they're at. So remember that you still need to do some semblance of intelligence dealing. If you made it to the end of this video, congratulations! You now just gained a crap ton of knowledge of how to play spotter correctly, and hopefully you can now carry your teams to victory, or at least get a lot of XP. Either way, you win. But, seriously, if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate it. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, comment. If I missed something, every little bit of info helps, and what you'd like to see next. But yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I'll see you in the next one.